We are back. Welcome to the Wire to Wire podcast.
What
As
is this
always,
part six?
at this point,
Part six, man. Here we
yeah,
go.
it's me, your host Yusuf, and your co-host Jordan.
Yeah, you
And
know.
this has been this has been quite an eventful weekend, with this whole Drake and Kendrick Lamar thing. We've been covering it extensively. And just when you think it's dying down, it comes back like a wildfire,
Historical.
bro.
Yeah, it's a history that we're living through right now. It's amazing. It's just gonna be a moment that like we're gonna tell our grandkids about.
Yeah, literally. And I'm glad that, there's content creators like us and a bunch of other ones out there that are really documenting these moments as they're
Oh yeah,
happening, because I
yeah,
think it's just going to add to, I think, the legacy of what this moment actually means.
100%. Like
Right.
YouTube is sending out checks right now for sure.
Oh,
Like
100%.
YouTube, Twitter. Elon's out here paying man for sure. With the
Yeah, definitely,
monetization
bro.
now on Twitter on X, sorry.
For now, this is just about it's just about the fun, the entertainment
Mhm.
value. But man, we got a lot to get into. So from the last time we spoke, right, we were giving our predictions on what we thought would happen. So we both guessed correctly that Drake was going to drop the end of that week, and he ended
Yeah,
up dropping Friday. But then things just went in a completely different direction, bro.
yeah,
And
yeah. I mean, hey man, like again, these are all allegations at the end of the day. But yeah, they're saying some things. But like what I appreciate from both parties is how cerebral they're both being, right? They're being so methodical in their approaches, and it's just it has people stopping what they're doing at any moment. Like Kendrick could drop down, we'll be like, oh, it dropped again. Like that's how it felt. Like, you know what I mean? We never knew when they were gonna drop and they just kept going back to back to back. You know what I mean?
yeah, literally, as we're recording this, I wouldn't be surprised if a drop was to happen right
Yeah.
in the middle of
Like
recording.
legit. Like it's like and it's so well, it seems like they're almost like it's a rumor, but like in terms of like podcasts out there, they're dropping in terms of like favoring people that can cover it. You know what I mean? Like for example, with the Drake on Drake's side, like he'll drop so Joe Budden can't cover it or have a podcast or mess up his schedule. And then for someone like academics, it's boom, it's right there. You can just stream right away and go online. So
Bro,
that's an interesting side of it too, right?
that is crazy, bro. And like you're mentioning, it's cerebral.
Yeah.
That kind of adds now a different layer to it, because now it's not even just the actual battle itself between the artists, but now it's like the external stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Like I
So
saw a Kai Cenat, I was watching the stream, and then he's like, he showed the DM from Drake saying, "Yo, stay on streaming." And then that built up the excitement, and then we're like, oh, here we go. And then boom, the music video.
yeah,
Family Matters.
and this is what, and I think it's very symbolic of the era and the time that we're in, right? Like these guys are playing high level chess,
Yeah.
right? And they're using the guys in the media, not in a bad way, but just
Mhm.
leveraging the outlets that's available
Yeah.
in a way to like really get the message out there and get the music out there, right? And it's kind of the way artists back then used to leverage radio. So
Hmm.
it's like, yo, it's Funkmaster Flex. I got the
Yeah,
exclusive.
they'll pull up the station,
Yeah.
radio stations. Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
then he would drop his bombs on it, right? And it
Hmm.
would leverage radio personalities. But now, they understand that a lot of this shifted online. So
Yeah.
these internet personalities are the new people you got to go through to get the message and get the music out there. And that's what they're doing. And the way they're even leveraging those guys, it's taking it to an even different level in terms of the mental aspect to the battle.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's interesting. And hey, I find it fascinating that we start with like the behind the scenes stuff, the media stuff, and like how they approach it from that angle, right? Because it's like it's almost historic from that point of view as well, right? The shift in culture that we're seeing, right? From radio to podcasting to now streaming. It's legit. And we see it in today's culture when artists now are pulling up with streamers, you know what I mean, just before they're promoting the album. right? It's part of the rollout now, and seeing how that has changed and developed today is just crazy. And like, it's good that we have it. Like again, it's good for all parties.
Hey,
Again, it all depends on what's true and what's false, right? You know what I mean?
uh,
And back to my conspiracy theory, like in terms of like this being huge for hip hop and them all being in it all in together, you know what I mean? Just for the benefit of hip hop, like this is it doesn't get bigger than this. Like, and they're both going back and forth and prolonging it. Like, look how many tracks we've got so far.
I
Like,
know.
you know what I mean? And it's not like it's like this is like top notch. Like these guys are in their bag, talking greasy. You know what I mean? So it's amazing.
Yeah, so I want us to jump right into it, but before we do though, I do got to give you your credit because when we were making predictions, like I said earlier, we both said Drake would drop end of the week. But
Hmm.
I said that I thought for Kendrick, after Drake drops, he's just gonna kind of leave it alone
Yeah.
because I just thought he was gonna leave it alone and maybe focus
Hmm.
on his album and putting that out. But if I'm not mistaken, I do believe that you said that Kendrick will respond and he's gonna respond in a big way and he's gonna keep coming out with
Yeah.
music.
Yeah.
And you were right, bro. You called it. Like he
Honestly, like when he dropped 616, I was like, yo, he's here. And I was like, damn, yo, what's Drake gonna do? I didn't think Drake was gonna respond, low key. Like I didn't know how long we would have to wait for him to respond. And then from 616, the track it was being a timestamp track, like getting into it now, 616 being a timestamp track, getting at Drake, 616 in LA, timestamp Drake. Everyone in media is like, oh, we need timestamp Drake to come out. That's the only way that he's gonna, really fight back in this. And then Kendrick comes with the timestamp
yeah.
616 in LA, just
I I like
high
that,
level
but
rapping, high level production. It's like, damn, like, and I felt nice because remember I predicted that Kendrick was in the lead, right? And you had Drake. I was like, yeah, I felt nice until and things changed. I'll
so
tell you
let's,
that things changed.
I like where you're going with this. So let's give a chronological breakdown and summary of what it is that happened, right? So when we
Mhm.
last recorded, it was Euphoria that had dropped,
Yeah,
right? And then after Euphoria had dropped, like you said, Kendrick came out with 616. And it's funny because you were saying in that episode too that Drake should come with a timestamp, but it was Kendrick that did a reverse and he came with his timestamp, right?
right.
And then after 616, later that night, Drake drops Family Matters. And
Yeah,
bro, to tell you right now, when I heard Family Matters, bro, I had the white towel. I was ready to tell Kendrick, listen, throw in that white towel, bro.
yeah. White boy. Rick
Bro,
Ross calling him the white boy because they're waving their white flags.
literally, I'm like, bro, it was
Yeah.
just 7.5 minutes of just torture for these guys,
But
bro.
like honestly, we have to take a step back because and I think it should be counted within this whole diss track catalog. When he did the Instagram video, or not video, but like promo of Buried Alive, when he did his version, his parody of the song in Kendrick's voice, like that was actually fire.
Bro,
Like
that
that
was,
was fire.
bro, it was so ingenious. And there's so many like things that I've picked up from this beef that I probably want to discuss a little bit more when we talk about impact.
Hmm.
But I really think the way Drake is approaching this beef and the way he's handling it, he's definitely taken several pages out of the 50 Cent playbook.
Yeah.
Because when I heard him do that Buried Alive thing, it immediately reminded me of when 50 did a diss track to the game and it was called
Hmm.
Not Rich, Still Lying.
Yeah.
But he was rapping in the game's voice
Yeah.
as a way to like kind of mock him. So I thought Drake took a page out of that. And I said in a previous episode too that I thought Drake was getting inspired by 50. And then when I saw him in that video with the G Unit spinner,
There you go. There you
I'm
go.
like, yeah, he's definitely
Yeah, he's been hinting at it, right? Got me talking like I'm 50, you know what I mean? So, and I think it's a great card to play. 50's battle tested, right?
he
And
is.
then we're seeing Drake, like this is like honestly, like it's crazy because like after the Pusha T battle, right, or whatever saga happened there, like it was a chink in his armor. So like, okay, like he's not like he's not invincible, right? But now we're seeing him improve from then. You know what I mean? With the songs he put out. Of course, some of it they felt like it got played out eventually. Like there were some mixed reviews in terms of his recent work. But now we're seeing his development being around just different artists and like where he's at now and the way he talks and his energy. It's like it's different.
It
Like
is.
he's
And
going back and forth with Kendrick, and Kendrick's delivering, and like, and every time Drake comes back, change my mind every time.
bro,
Every time Drake responds, I'm like, he's in the lead.
bro, literally, I've never I've never heard Drake ever rap at the level that he's rapping at now. Like I've never seen him MC like this before, bro. Like this guy is like the bars are vicious, the
The
double
bar is
entendres, the
ambitious, yeah,
triple entendres. I've
and
never
it's
really.
clear. You like, you know what I
It's
mean? It's
very
not going over
clear.
your head. It's like it's direct. Like, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
every word he says is like you hear it loud and clear.
And I've never seen him rap at this level before, bro. Like I've never seen him do it. So the way he's like his delivery, the bars, the punchlines, I'm like it's unheard of for him, bro. Like this,
Hmm.
like, and I think we can kind of talk about this more as we give a breakdown of the songs, but
Yeah,
I think he literally is of the mindset that I am rapping for my life. You know what I mean? Like, this is not really like the Meek situation because he had the momentum on his side. He had the
yeah.
industry on his side, so to
And
speak.
he was such a favorite. You know, he's such a
Yeah.
favorite. Right now we have even odds.
And then
Right.
with the Pusha T thing, and I don't want to get too much into that one because I kind of want to tie it into the one that Kendrick dropped,
Hmm.
right? But the Pusha T one, I thought was it was blindsided. And I think it kind of took the entertainment aspect out of it because he just went in a completely different direction. And
Hmm.
it kind of took the entertainment value out of it, where it was just kind of borderline disgusting what he did. You know what I mean? Like it was kind of
Yeah.
low down. And I
Yeah.
think Drake himself kind of was so disgusted, like I don't even want to engage with him because
Yeah.
Pusha T is not even that caliber of an artist that I have anything to gain, even if I was to go back and forth. But it's still technically, like you said, viewed as a chink in his armor, and it still
Hmm.
counts as an L, right?
Yeah.
So, but something like this, though, Kendrick is not a guy that he could just take that same approach with because this is someone who they're saying is your peer. They're saying that he's the best lyricist, the best MC of your generation. So
Hmm.
he has something to prove, and he's literally the way he's been approaching this, the music, the quality of it, the bars, he's treating it as such.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I agree. And it's interesting. But also like when we get into Family Matters, and not even Family Matters, actually, when we get into the last track that's been dropped, that's where it's interesting to see how he's playing it and why his he has so much confidence, right? And it seems like he's like before when I lost or that chink in the armor to Pusha T, like he caught me. You know what I mean? I was hiding a child. You know what I mean? And then boom,
Mhm.
you know, he had nothing to do. And then he had the album that he was working on too. So he was just caught up, right? So now he feels like, nah, I got this. I'm ready. I'm here. And he gets that he has that type of energy, you know what I mean? And
Mhm.
it's like we see it. We
Yeah,
see it. Like the
he's
music
on that
video, like having a music video, a visual to go over the diss track, that's rare. You know what I mean? And the way he delivered it, man. That Friday night was crazy.
and you know who else was doing that too? 50 Cent when he had his thing with Cameron, right? He
Yeah.
dropped the music video for funeral music,
Hmm.
and then Cameron came back with I think Curtis a music video.
Yeah.
But even the strategy behind that is because 50 was like because YouTube was still relatively new at that time.
Hmm.
So it was a new revenue source. And if I put out a music video, I can make money off of views.
Yeah.
So even that was a strategy that tied into it, right? With this, I think Drake just wanted to give a visual to, really just troll Kendrick, right?
Hmm.
So again, the strategies, like it's so uncanny that
Yeah.
that's the approach that he's taking. So he comes with Family Matters, right?
Yeah.
And then the world stopped for that moment to see how was Drake gonna respond, what was he gonna say, what was he gonna do, right?
Hmm.
And then just, like I said, I had the white towel I was ready to throw that white towel in for Kendrick.
Yeah.
But then what is it? Half an hour later?
Yeah, it was. I'd like to say half an hour or an hour. I'd like to say it
Yeah.
wasn't too long.
And I was messaging you too, like, because
Yeah,
as soon as the stuff was coming out, I'm just DMing them to you, like, yo, bro, listen to this.
yeah,
And then I see this come out. I'm like, already? So I DM it to you. I'm like, bro, what the hell is going on right now? Like, hey,
yeah. I was really confused. And then what he was saying, you know what I mean? He was saying some vulgar things. You know what I mean? He
yeah,
was coming out with some allegations. We don't know what's fact and fiction, but the way he's talking about it, it was a lot. But
yeah.
then in hindsight, was it though? You know what I mean? So things are getting addressed at the end of the day. So I mean, where should we start? Let's go back to 616 in
Okay,
LA.
let's go to that. Let's go.
Okay, let's go to the lyrics.
Let me pull this up right here.
616 in LA, like timestamp record. I had to see the lyrics right here. So
So, yeah, so I got the lyrics
he's
right here.
right. He's pretty much alluding to uh there being a mole in Drake's camp, and he has information based on
Yes.
that mole,
Right
right?
here. So he's like, are you finally ready to play? Have you ever? Let's see. Have you ever thought that OVO is working for me?
Right.
So he hit him with that one.
Hmm.
And at the time when it came out as a standalone song, it's like, okay, you have someone working for you, but
Yeah.
there was no context behind it. So it's
No.
like, it's kind of like, remember on the Metro Boomin track with the Weekend and Future when he's like, they got leaks in their operation.
Hmm.
Again, there's no real context. Like, okay, are you saying that people in his crew don't like him? You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
So if we're going back to this one and then we kind of tie it back to Meet the Grams,
Yeah.
it was almost like the way my mind connected it at the time was that this was kind of like a warning shot, but at the same time, you're kind of baiting him to go drop that track that I know you
Hmm.
have coming. Drop it because I want to hit you with this,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? What are your
Yeah.
thoughts
So
on that?
and pretty much it's almost like alluding to like he pretty much sets it up in terms of bringing up OVO and the crew, right? You got 100 niggas on salary, right? And 20 of them want you as a casualty, you know?
Yeah.
So like getting into that, like he's alluding to the someone in your camp, getting at the camp, and then talking about Zach Bia and Twitter bots. Like Kendrick's almost like approaching it like, um, I know more than you, but does he? You know what I mean? But does he? So from that point, like as consumers, we're looking at this track as like, okay, he's getting at the crew. He's gonna take this angle as someone told him something in the crew and he has information. If you keep going, I'm gonna let out that information and really delve into it, right?
Hmm.
So then that's where we're at from after 616. So now if we go into the bomb with Family Matters now, right? Because now after 616, and I'm like, damn, this guy's saying some stuff. He continued on, right? Right. So Friday night, first thing we see, Drake drops. Boom. We see the Instagram post, him doing Buried Alive. Like when I heard the Buried Alive like parody track, him rapping in the Kendrick voice, I'm like, okay, this guy is tapped in.
Yeah.
He's approaching it very cerebral, and he's locked in, and he's the petty king for a reason. And then we get into we always wanted to hear what it was going to be like on the second half of push-ups, right?
Hmm.
And then as soon as I heard the beat, well, first of all, the way he starts it off talking to his mom
Yeah.
and has Sandra talking, and it's like, oh, maybe you shouldn't start the song like that, and then comes right into it. Yeah, man, I was like,
And
damn.
and to be honest, because I think on the last episode I said that Drake, I think he has a track that's ready to go, but he's adding some stuff to it and some finishing touches to kind
Hmm.
of match up with the updated stuff that Kendrick put out, right? So I'm pretty sure the way he started off this one, I think this is a recent addition to the song. Because
Hmm.
remember, it's like, we don't want to hear you say that anymore,
Yeah, yeah,
right? So I think he's like, okay, let me throw this in there now to kind of add to the troll.
yeah.
And then there was another part too that I thought like he kind of added it in. So I think what part was it? Let me see if I can find it here. But basically,
It had to be towards the third verse, because remember the beat changes three times,
it does,
right?
yeah.
And he goes back to addressing Kendrick
Yeah, and
in
then
the in
and
the
then there
in
was
the
one
third
where he
verse.
was like, that part where he's like, good kid, Mad City Van. So
Hmm.
and that came after the gunshots, right?
Yeah.
I think that part was also something that he kind of incorporated into it. I just kind of get that sense.
So if we're thinking about it, because if we're aligning with the video, like, did he just shoot that video on like Wednesday night?
He would have had to have.
You know what I mean? Like,
He would have had to have because even too, like if you look at the restaurant, right, that he was at,
yeah,
that's
that's
only something
another
that could have
addressing thing.
came
That's the thing
in
I like about
response.
Drake in this thing is he's addressing he's replying to what you're saying,
He is.
right? So he was posted up when we go to the music video, he's posted up a New Hulk King. And it's just so interesting from like our perspective, you know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like when we get into it later in terms of like the scoring of the battle and like the numbers, like from our side, like it's it's like they're gonna see it from like, oh, Drake, and they're gonna believe all the things that come out, right? But like for us, it's like, come on, you know what I mean? Like, like New Hulk Kings, like that's just a spot on Spadina. Like, you know what I mean? You're here talking about it, like you're posted up in there. Like Drake could just be there doing what he does easily, like, and that's
Yeah,
what he
'cause-
did. You don't know how much of a chokehold like Drake has on the city in terms of his whole his like his power in the city. Like his whole OVO owl is on the practice arena
it's
for the
true. Yeah.
Raptors. You know what I mean? And you have Kendrick calling out a whole brand that's like massive in Toronto.
I think if there's only a person that would get a slight pass would be a guy like Kendrick, only because of like the stature, no pun intended, that he
Yeah.
has in the game, right?
Hmm.
Because he has what I'm really discovering is he has a very loyal, dedicated fan base.
Sure.
And even
Numbers. I
some
mean,
of,
hey, how many people are in California? Probably more than Canada.
yeah, so even in Toronto, I think he kind of has somewhat of a fan base.
Yeah, he
Right.
does.
So yeah, so I don't think that they would give him as much of a hard time if he was to like pull up to the city or do a show in the city,
Hmm.
as opposed to if a Pusha T was to come here. You know what I mean? Like, because when
Yeah.
Pusha T came here, remember, you had some people trying to rush the stage to deal
Yeah,
with it.
yeah, yeah. That wouldn't happen for Kendrick. Well,
No.
I don't know actually right now. But but yeah, you're right. Like there's people in Toronto media or people that are even artists that are from Toronto that are like on the side of Kendrick
Yeah.
and promoting it. You know what I mean? Or there would be like the middle. Like there's
Hmm.
never like the people that would like just middle it and try to say, oh, who's winning? There's no one that's gonna stand on business with like Drake. You know what I mean? There's a few for sure, but like
Yeah,
in
but
LA,
it's
they're standing on business for sure.
yeah,
Especially when that next track came out. Not like us. Fool, that
yeah.
was a gut punch.
Oh yeah, that one. I think we can jump to the lyrics on that one if you want. Well, actually, no, let's stick to this because we're kind of
Yeah.
going in the order.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, we had to do a deep dive on Family Matters for sure. Like,
Yeah,
Family
this one we
Matters,
definitely have to. And
right.
I thought with this one, why I think it was recorded at a bunch of different time frames is because I think you were right. Like it was kind of a continuation of push-ups. So
Hmm.
he was gonna address the same people, like because you saw him address Rick Ross,
Yeah.
The weekend. I didn't like that part of it, but hey, I'm neutral in this
I
because
I think that verse he had.
yes,
I think
and
that
I
verse
think
that the beat switch up with the drill when it switches to
mhm,
the drill and then he's addressing Ross and the weekend and Metro. I feel like
yes,
that verse was there after We Don't Trust You. And
yeah,
then he just added it on.
Yeah, so I think like once, Kendrick came out with his, then he started coming out with responses directly to what he was saying, right? And I
Hmm.
think that's also too why the song ended up being like 7.5 minutes and why there was all these different beat switches because there's so much stuff that he wanted to address,
Hmm.
right? So in
So
terms of
pretty
the
much,
part, in
yeah.
terms of the parts that really stood out to me,
Hmm.
to be honest with you, was obviously here when he was like, I heard that one of them little kids might be day free.
Yeah.
Like that to me was the bombshell.
Yeah. And then he says it, don't make it day free. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Like that to me was the bombshell. Like that was the one where I was like, okay, this guy, like the
But
glove.
and also another allegation now is the whole black messiah, but you wifing up a mixed queen,
Yes.
and then you when you want time apart, you're actually hitting white things on the side, vanilla cream.
Yeah. And you see all the like the wordplay, like the wordplay that he was using was crazy, bro.
Yeah, like the
Like,
pen is the pen is hot for sure. The pen is like, and he's saying it clear, and it's just simple poetry, money trees. You don't you say you're an activist, but you ain't no planting no money trees in the hood. Like getting at things that like
and yeah, it's crazy too, because even like, even here where it's like, don't even go back to your hood and plant no money trees. That was a play on one of Kendrick's songs.
yeah, money trees.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
the, but it's like again, it's one of those double entendres because he's basically saying, yeah, you don't give back to your hood, but he's doing it with a
Hmm.
play on words, right? And I thought that
Hmm.
was genius. And even too, it's like you just acting like an activist is make believe, like he's pulling his card, you know?
Yeah.
But even the line before that, actually, always rapping like you about to get the slaves freed, right?
Yeah.
I think there's been a gross overreaction to that particular bar because people are taking it out of context, right?
Yeah.
So he's not mocking slavery, number one.
Yeah. But you know how Americans are gonna get with it. Like, you know
And
what I
that's
mean? Like
and
that's
that's
the
the
that's
problem.
the
But
problem.
do you think they're getting like that with it because he's a light skin from Canada? He's a light skinned Canadian.
I feel like they're gonna find any angle because honestly, that whole like disparity in terms of what Americans think of Canadians is like it's pretty bad. I mean, it's changed over time, thankfully, because of Drake, right? He's been a huge portion to make Toronto cool, and then the Raptors and Kawhi and everything like that. But that's recent. Like I'm saying, 2019, we didn't like 2016 to like 2019 is when Toronto earned its respect as
Mhm.
a city. You know what I mean? And people wanted to come here. Of course, Caravana more and more. You know what I mean? But like the thing is, it's at a point where um he gave us a whole brought up seat. You know what I mean? And now people are trying to follow up and be like, oh, but he's still that Canadian. You know what I mean? He's mixed. He's
Yeah.
white.
But you see,
He can't say
even
the N word. Blah blah
and that's a
blah.
huge misnomer because the guy's his dad's American. Like his dad's from Memphis, Tennessee. He's from the
Hmm.
South. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So this idea of now, like you guys suddenly want to pull his black card, like stop. Like all these basically, when he said that line, he's basically trolling Kendrick to say that this guy talks like he is some kind of abolitionist, like he is this savior, right? He used a line, Black Messiah, saying that this guy tries to position himself like that. But really
Hmm.
and truly, if you look at his behavior, he's not actually any of those things. In fact, he's not quite different from me, but I'm just real about it.
Yeah.
And it's an interesting approach that he's taken because if you listen to Blueprint 2 by Jay-Z, so in it, he's getting at Nas. And one of the stuff that he gets at Nas is like, just because you wear a kofi, it don't mean that you're bright. But I can't remember exactly how the line goes, but it's like,
Hmm.
just because you don't understand him, it don't mean that he's nice. It just means that you don't understand the bullshit that he writes. But Jay-Z was kind of going at Nas's credibility, like, okay, is it Uchi Wally Wally or is it One Mike? Is it Black Girl Magic or Black Girl Rock or Shorty owes you for ice? So he's just basically trying to say the way he's positioning himself doesn't match up with the behavior, right? So that's all he's really trying to say here when he's like, you're rapping like that. He wasn't mocking slavery, he wasn't minimizing the struggle or dismissing the pain. So I think people are taking that way out of context.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I agree.
And then, I mean, all of it was really like, I didn't like hear that Abel had to catch I didn't like that Abel caught a stray hit to end that, but
Yeah,
I'm gonna
what did he
stay out
mean
of
by
this one.
that?
Huh?
What did he mean by that?
Oh,
I know
he
what you
said a
mean.
lot. He said a lot of different things about him, bro.
Yeah.
And then here, this whole part here was a reply to him if Drake Shooter's doing TikToks,
Hmm.
right? And then can't listen to this TikTok in falsetto, save it for a hip hop. Basically say,
Yeah.
stay in your lane,
Yeah.
right? And then here he's kind of trying to question his Toronto card.
Hmm.
And then this part here is
Hmm.
one of the things that I always suspected, and I can't remember if I talked about it on the last episode. I think I did, but it was Drake's tendency to go for people's exes.
I
So
think
I
he
always
touched upon it. Yeah.
Yeah, and then with Bella Hadid, right? Like you're spending
Hmm.
time with her, you're throwing a birthday party for her, family and friends. That
Yeah.
would make someone feel away.
Yeah.
But that's kind of like really the add-ons.
Yeah.
The main thing that he was really going after was Kendrick.
Yeah.
And
Because
I
he gets
think,
like, no, I got annoyed online because I was reading and they're like, oh, how, like, oh, he should just focus on Kendrick. Why is he talking about other artists? Why is he talking about Ross and Weeknd and Metro? But like, he has to address people getting at him. He can't just ignore them. Like,
yeah,
and it is a 20v1. Like, there's other mans that got at him. There's no other mans that are getting at Kendrick. It's mans are solely getting at him. And he has something to say about it. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So he devoted a part in the song where he focused on that, and then he got off of it and got back to Kendrick. You know what
yeah.
I mean?
And one of the ones that made me laugh, sorry, before we get to the Kendrick bars, where he's like, Rakim talking
The
shit
ASAP
again.
bar.
Yeah, gas because you hit my BM first, nigga. Do the math. Who I was hitting then. That was
We
just
we
a
said
very
that. We said
simple,
that last episode. Like,
very simple, very direct, but just it clears them out the way.
yeah. ASAP only deserves, that needs to be handled ASAP. Just nice and quick and get it out.
Yeah, literally. And then, I mean, yeah, then from there, like to close out that part of the track, that's when
Hmm.
he started like redirecting
Getting
his
back to
focus
Kendrick.
back to Kendrick.
Hmm.
And then here he kind of puts out a little thing. K-Dot shit is only hitting hard when Baby Keem put his pen to it.
Hmm.
Basically saying that he's penning your hits for you.
Yeah. And then the white flag line. That's why that's why he had the white flag.
Yes. Yeah, where he's like, yeah, Ross calling me the white boy, and the shit kind of got a ring to it because all these rappers waving white flags while the whole fucking club sing to it.
Yeah. 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 I mean, just perfect entendres right there.
Yeah,
And
and then
then,
here, when he was talking about, Kendrick just opened his mouth, someone go hand him a Grammy right now. You know,
hmm
and this kind of talks about, like we're saying, that fan base and that audience that he has that, he just kind of gets this red carpet in hip hop where like he very seldomly drops, but when he does, they're always gonna amplify it, right?
yeah, exactly. Like, oh wow, Kendrick dropped. Oh, let's get him a Grammy. And
And
it's
then
definitely a narrative in the industry for sure.
and then this one that came right after that, really to me, I was like, like this guy has no chill.
Yeah,
Where's your
where's
uncle
your
at? Because
uncle
I
at?
want
Because
to
I want
talk
to
to the
talk to the
man of the
man of the
house.
house.
Bro, that was
Yeah,
crazy, bro.
that's. And then you want to take up for Pharrell and come get the legacy out of his house. And then the music video, he's at New Whole King. That part when it switched to New Whole King, and he has the owner wearing all Pharrell's chains, all of them.
Bro,
Like,
that was
dog.
crazy, bro. And literally Kendrick is the one that brought Pharrell's name into this. Like
And
he's the
here's the
one that
response:
intro
You want you? Oh, these things, these old things, come get them.
bro, that was like so to me, I'm like, okay, this guy, like he's not playing around. Like this guy, he's coming for it. You know what I mean? Like he's
Yeah,
coming for it and he's coming with it.
yeah. And
And
then he
then
responded to uh cease and desist, and then he's like, "Oh, you called Tupac a state and begged." to sue me and get shit down. I'm losing perspective on beef. Boy, want to send a beat, I'll kill you for fun. Your
And
daddy
then
got robbed by top. You stunning and waiting like father, like son.
and you see
Yeah, see?
that's another good like that's another good double entendre, right? Because Lil Wayne and Birdman have a joint album together called Like Father, Like Son.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like yeah, yeah.
And here he
Black of the berry,
basically
sweet of the juice.
and he's literally taking credit here, saying like, we already know why you went number one. Yeah, because I put you on.
Yeah,
I'm the one that put you on the map.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And like when he talks about in his recent song, like this is like finally we got you to come outside and rap. You know what I mean? Look, we would never get this from Kendrick if it wasn't for Drake.
Yeah, he's never had this level of productivity,
He brought out the boogeyman.
literally.
Boogeyman was hiding, and now look, come
And
outside,
he's
and he's outside.
and he's showing that this guy's really not as much of a boogeyman as you guys think, because I'm
Drake's right
going,
here though with him.
yeah,
Drake is
I'm
right
going bar
here.
for bar with him.
Yeah.
And then here, okay, this one is a little bit, I gotta say pause on this one, but I I understood the wordplay and I actually thought it was kind of ingenious, right?
Especially for the video that he
Exactly.
showed. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's kind of like this was also a double entendre because yeah, there's that video that leaked, but also too
Mm-hmm.
obviously the guy's name is Drake, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, yo, this is actually ingenious of him to kind of throw something like that out there, you know what I mean? Again,
Yeah.
pause, but
Mm-hmm. But still,
again,
you see how tapped in he is. He's super
yeah,
tapped in to like what people like will know about. You know what I mean? Everyone's gonna get the reference right off the head. Like Kendrick, it's like you listen to it and like, oh really? Is that true? And when you listen to Drake, like, oh yep, that's facts.
yeah.
Like just
And
facts.
literally, it's one of those that like when you hear it, you're just like, oh man. Like, and then even this one too, this ties into what he was doing with the whole concept of tailor made, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's like, the blacker the berry, the sweeter the juice. We get that you like to put gin in your juice. We get that you think that you're bishop in juice.
Hmm.
Like, here again, it's a double entendre because Tupac has that line, the blacker the berry, the sweeter the juice. I think it's on Keep Your Head Up.
Yeah.
And then Kendrick has a song, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Black of the berry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Black
And
or berry,
then
something like that. Yeah.
obviously that classic Snoop Dogg song, Gin and Juice,
Mm-hmm.
right? So he's basically tying it into that with the AI voice, with the fact that he passed you the torch at the House of Blues,
Mm-hmm.
right? So there's many things going on. And then we get that you think you're Bishop and Juice. Tupac's character in the movie Juice, right? And you're playing a character. I took it as also you're trying to say that you are playing a character. You're not who you're saying you are, right? And then here, this was just vicious. Like when you put your hands on your girls, it's self-defense because you're bigger than you.
Hmm. Yeah, and the cadence that he's delivering it, his flow, like, yeah, he's locked in.
And then
He's
this was
locked
the
in.
Easter egg, right? And we're gonna break down the other tracks too, but this was the Easter egg. Your back is up against the curb. You're digging for dirt, should be digging for proof. So it's almost like looking back at it, it's almost like he's kind of saying, like, I'm setting you up and you don't even know it.
You don't even know it. Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
And then yeah, here he's just exposing him about, moving to New York, living that bachelor life.
2015 proposal. Where's the marriage? When's the wedding? And it happened, right?
Yeah, because we know the girls that you actually like is the same
Yeah.
girls that I like, but you're just not man enough to admit it.
Yeah.
And then here was just, I was like, this
Yeah.
part I'm like was just super clever, bro. When
Yeah.
he's like, it's all on your face. What happened to Mike? Oh shit, it's all making sense. Maybe I'm Prince and you actually Mike. Michael was praying his features would change so people would believe that he's actually white.
Hmm.
Top would make you do features for change, get on pop records and rap for the whites.
Hmm.
So, I'm sure many people know this, but like, again, there was that whole, after Big Three, it's just Big Me.
Yeah.
Prince outlived Michael Jackson in response to when Drake said, I'm one away from Michael, beat it
Yeah.
on first person shooter, right?
Yeah.
So
Which maybe we should be even brought into the rankings when we do the rankings later. First person shooter.
because that really is the first domino that started all of this.
Yeah.
So, when you take that, he was saying that, and plus Prince and Michael, they had beef in their lifetime. So
Mm-hmm.
they even like yeah, they were in the same era, but they even had problems amongst themselves. And I
Right.
remember just a quick story, but I remember they were actually supposed to collaborate on that song Bad.
Hmm.
But then Prince, when he heard it, he kind of took it as like Michael Jackson was slighting him.
Yeah.
So he's like, I'm not gonna hop on this track that I think is a little bit of a slight to me. So he refused to do it. So it kind of plays on that, right? And then also here, like obviously Michael Jackson, the surgery and all that stuff.
Hmm.
But then he's
Hmm.
also tying it that, Kendrick is jumping on pop records and he's trying to get in touch with the white audience.
Yeah. Bad
So
blood and all that. Yeah.
yeah, so maybe this whole time I'm thinking I'm Mike and you're thinking you're Prince, but maybe it's the other way around. And then the way
Right.
he ties it in, and wait, you say your brother Jermaine, but you
Hmm.
wanted him to stay out of the light.
Hmm.
And then Michael has a brother Jermaine Jackson, part of
Jermaine.
the
Yeah.
Jackson Five, that was not that big. So, and then
Yeah.
this last line was just super petty. They hired a crisis management team to clean up the fact that you beat on your queen. The picture you painted ain't what it seemed. And that's the perfect summary for what he was trying to do with the track.
Yep.
Expose, expose his bad deeds, so to speak.
Yeah. And wrap it up. That's
Yeah.
his little thesis right there.
And that was the perfect ending.
Yeah, that's how you write an essay, man. Teach these are lessons. Go and rap genius. This is how you write essays, kids.
So after he hit us with that family matters, right? It
Hmm.
was a lot to unpack.
Yeah.
And then what is it, half an hour to an hour later, like you said, we got hit with Meet the Grabs.
Alchemist, eh?
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
Alchemist.
we got hit with Meet the Grams. And then what did you make what did you make of this track when it came out? Like, if you had to like the impact of it and everything.
Yeah.
What was your initial thoughts as it was all unfolding at that time?
Yeah, so pretty much I was shocked, of course, but like knowing that Kendrick dropped 616 in LA, I would assume that he would be prepared to keep going and keep writing, right? He wasn't gonna let Drake off the hook. Did I expect him to drop the same night? No. And that soon? No. So I was shocked, right? And then Twitter was already in a frenzy, and it was late at this point, but because it was probably close to midnight or yeah, close to midnight when he dropped. Um, but then like it wasn't hidden for me because like coming off of Family Matters, like the music video and the beat, like I was hyped. And then he comes here, putting me through a therapy session, meeting the Grams, right? Going through the family members, and I'm like, okay, like he's kind of across the line, talking about Adonis, the naming Sandra, naming Dennis, his dad, and then bringing up a daughter, right? An alleged daughter that Drake has, an 11-year-old daughter. So that was like, wait, what? But honestly, I never believed it. The 11-year-old daughter, I was like, okay. Like I felt like he was reaching. Like I didn't like the song at all, to be honest. And people like were hyping it. You know what I mean? They're hyping it because of what he's saying, and then of course the shock value of if he has a daughter or not, right? So that whole shock value was the only thing that this song was holding was keeping this song up. That whole does he have a daughter or does he not, right?
Mhm.
And then that got kiboshed very quickly. Well, it didn't get kiboshed because then he kiboshed himself by dropping his bop, which was very smart and very smart of Kendrick after dropping the bop. But getting back into this song, so we don't go too far ahead. But yeah, he's getting at Adonis, sitting him down, saying how trash a father he has, making claims about his drug overdose. I mean, the cover art, right? If we go into the cover art, when Drake's
It
he had
was
Drake's like
it was like
pills.
it was like Ozempic,
Yeah,
some medication.
Ozempic and like some other pills, like some
Yeah.
perks or something like that.
Yeah, and then there was like those MMG gloves.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
yeah,
then yeah, it's interesting you bring that up because like with this, with this song, to be honest, like it kind of it made my head spin a little bit and not
Hmm.
like oh my mind is blown by how great it was. It was more so I thought he was kind of taking the entertainment value
Out of it.
from out of it. Yeah, I took the
Yeah.
entertainment value out of the back and forth, and it was very menacing. It was very ominous, and I found it to be a little bit morbid, like wishing, like wanting the guy dead, and I think like wishing for his death. That to me was is way over the top. You know what I mean? It's like it's crossing like unspeakable lines just as a human being, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
And then on top of that, it kind of seemed like you were trying to take the Pusha T playbook by exposing this kid,
Yeah.
saying like, "Oh, you have a daughter for 11 years." I don't believe you can hide a daughter for 11 years, especially
11
someone
years.
of
Like
Drake's
what? Like,
caliber,
come on.
right?
Yeah.
And it's kind of like I thought he was just kind of like reaching. And then I came up with a theory. And this is what I was saying, my mind was spinning. So bear with me, the audience. I need you guys to really follow me on this one here, right? Because some of the stuff that he was saying was somewhat direct responses to what was in Family Matters. So I thought about on 616, when he said that you have a mole. So I was thinking maybe that mole, not only did they tell him about a kid or whatever, but maybe they sent him the song in advance. Or maybe somehow the song got leaked to him in advance and he was already preparing this. And this was kind of like a quick cook up to respond to him to kind of try to diminish his moment, right?
Hmm.
And the reason why I was kind of thinking that too is because, again, the weekend was talking about a leak in his camp. And then there was a video that Rick Ross was doing on Instagram where he trolls him. And I just came across one of the videos, and in one of them, he says, you know, you better not drop that 8-minute response that you're working on or something. But I didn't think anything of it at the time. But now that I heard this, I'm like, wait, how would Rick Ross have known there's an 8-minute response?
Hmm.
Unless he heard the song himself or he's been communicating with Kendrick in his camp who are
Yeah, I
telling,
told you, man. They're all in a
right?
room together. That's why
So,
they're able to tie everything together. Family matters. Oh, meet the Grams. Nah.
and then, and
Lucian,
then,
he's good, man. He's good.
and then this is where I kind of, when I say like my mind is spinning too, is because like, Ozempic, like the picture of Ozempic or Ozempic, however you say it, it was there, right? And I don't use it personally, but I know of it.
Hmm.
And one of the side effects, or one of the most common known side effects of it, is that you get stomach issues. Like it really affects your stomach. And then I thought about when Drake was talking about For All the Dogs, and then he was like, you know, after I'm done with this album, I want to focus on my health. My stomach's been acting up.
Mm.
So I was like, could it be that?
True, true, true.
So I was like piecing all these things together. I'm like, could it be that was actually the case? Right? Either some of that stuff could have just been a coincidence, but again, this was making my mind go out, like it was just spinning because I'm just like, what the hell is going on right now? Because it came out of nowhere, right? And then I guess this can kind of tie into that, the Heart Part 6 that Drake dropped. I think a lot of these things were addressed. But this is just where my mind went. But yeah, I wasn't very fond of this disc because, again, like you took it to a direction it didn't really need to go into.
Hmm.
And then you're bringing up false information. There's no kid.
Yeah, yeah. And like going back to like what Kendrick is and the angle he's trying to take, like the Ozempic angle, the drugs and all that, like, come on. Like he's a celebrity. What are we talking about here? You know what I mean? So that like he's a rapper at that point. What are we talking about? The girls he likes, the girls he gets, like his ability to get young girls, whatever. But like of course, like not put pedophilia young girls. Like, come on, you know what you're saying here? Like
Hmm.
pedophilia is infants. We're talking about kids.
Yeah.
We're not talking about no 21-year-old, 22-year-old, 23-year-old baddie. Like, what are we talking about here? You know what I mean? And then like he's one of the biggest artists. Like if he is messing around with kids, like he mentioned, like of course, like that's something people will know. But if he's messing out with Lotto's sister that's 21, okay, you know what I mean? Like, what are we talking about here?
There's
But
gonna
like
be
again,
chat. Yeah, there's gonna be chatter, bro. And like the thing
yeah,
is, like, and part
that's
of
why,
that too. So are we gonna say?
yeah, that's why like it's not really like sinking in the way he thinks it should. But again, what I'm saying isn't the same that they're saying online. Like for people online, like it's going crazy. But again, we're talking about this track. This track is a miss
Hmm.
in terms of the whole like trajectory of this battle. Like this is a miss, and that he made people quickly forget about it when we get into the next track.
Yeah, and I think and I think one thing that Drake kind of did as a favor to himself, actually, right, is if you remember on Taylor Made when he's like he was doing Tupac's part and he was saying, "Go tell them, you like young women. I heard it on a Button podcast. It got to be true."
Mm-hmm.
So at least he had the foresight to know that at some point this is the direction he might want to go in. I don't
Or
think Drake,
back to your conspiracy. They know what's coming.
and that's the thing, and I
It's
don't,
premeditated.
and that's the thing. So I don't know if Drake knew the full extent to which he would start calling him like outwardly saying like they're and keep them away from your like keep the family away. Telling LeBron keep the family away, Curry keep the family away. To anybody that embodies a love for their kids, keep the family away. Like that was just, to me, it's kind of like he was just looking for that Pusha T viral moment.
Mm-hmm.
And I really think this was a song that he rushed and cooked up. And I think to like the people who love Kendrick and they're big fans of his, they thought the song was doing something.
Yeah,
But
and
I
it
think,
didn't. That's the thing.
and
Like,
it
this
did
is
it.
such a chink in his armor for this battle.
And I
Like, oh,
think,
a bait.
and I think that's why he then dropped the next one, right? Not Like Us. I think that's what made him immediately the next day have to put it out because he had
Mm-hmm.
to kind of put out a fire that he set on himself.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, he was taking the entertainment value out of it. He was caught with egg in his face, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this track ended up coming out the next day, I believe on the Sunday.
Or was it the Sunday or the
Or
Saturday?
it was the Saturday. I believe it was the
Saturday,
Saturday.
yeah,
Actually,
because
sorry, it
Drake
was the
dropped on the
Saturday. Yeah,
Sunday.
Drake dropped the
Yeah.
Sunday. Yeah, my apologies. So it was the Saturday that Kendrick put this one out, right? And I think this is one that he already had tucked and he wanted to do it in a way where it's like, because Drake's specialty is that he can make diss tracks that you can run in the club.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like, I have to match that level of energy. And so I think that's where this song comes in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I feel like everyone was looking for a bop from Kendrick. You know, a lot of his songs, 660. Okay, Euphoria was your mix of it being a track you could play, but like you couldn't really play. It didn't have that much replay value. And then 616 again, it's like that timestamp is not really for replay value, just the vibe too. And then Meet the Grams was a snooze fest,
Yeah.
whatever. Like that one was just a snooze fest. Like I could barely get through that one. And then do we get Not Like Us? And then coming off of the back to back of Meet the Grams till Not Like Us, this is where the narrative shifted because we didn't have an addressing of all these claims, right? No one knew what the facts were. They were just saying, wait, is this true? Is it not true? Like a lot of people were debating the winner of this thing would be whoever can get receipts. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And actually pull out the facts. That's what it got to after Meet the Grams. And then Not Like Us came out and it was the bop. West Coast Bob, DJ Mustard on the beat. Um, and everyone's like, oh, this, and he had all the OV hoes and all that, all the anthems track, that's gonna play outside, and we've seen people playing it outside. And we're like, uh-oh, like Kendrick is really like locked in too. Like as much as Drake is locked in, like Kendrick's like going through his whole repertoire of ammo, his weapons, right? Using the West Coast influence, and that was smart. That was very cerebral on his part coming up with a bop, right? Knowing from a numbers point of view, everyone on the West Coast is going to lean to that side now. So he had to hold up the West Coast, whole of California and America, because now we're looking at um, him talking about how he used Atlanta. You know what I mean? All right. So when again to him using Atlanta and him working with different artists, like from Atlanta working with Future and 21 and Two Chains, and how he just stole and called him a colonizer. You know what I mean? This was what this track got into. The whole colonizing and stealing from people and stuff like that. Like that one was hidden. Like not like us. I was like, damn, this is where I had it like Kendrick has a lead because I don't know what the facts are with Meet the Grams, and then he comes with a bop, and then the whole narrative was mayhem at this point. And then with the number game, Toronto is not going to outnumber and out socialize America.
Yeah. For me, this was a track that I think I want to say tied it, if anything, because I thought he kind of hurt himself with Meet the Grams.
Hmm.
But then this was kind of like the redemption track. And the part that I kind of thought that he did right was that he played Drake's game, So after this track came out, we've seen videos of people at clubs, this song's being played and people are dancing to it, right? So I'm like, okay, so he kind of did what Drake did with Back to Back,
Hmm.
right? So this track to me kind of tied it up. And then there was some bars in here that I thought, okay, he was very cerebral with it too, like, referencing the whole John Stockton, right?
Yeah.
I'm finna pass on his body. I'm John Stockton, right?
Hmm.
So that to me was a pretty good double entendre, especially with the allegations that he was putting out there.
Yeah.
And then, certified lover boy, certified pedophiles, you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like is very direct what you're trying to say,
Hmm.
and you're not
And
dancing
then
around it anymore.
yeah, and then the one that is really hitting for everyone is the why you trolling like a bitch and you tired trying to strike a chord and it's a probably a
Yeah.
minor. Yeah, so that one was ringing through the streets for sure. Yeah, it's crazy because I was out on Saturday, like I said, when went to go see gigs.
Hmm.
Um, just outside chilling, waiting for an Uber, and you're hearing people play Not Like Us around the streets in Toronto. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
we're seeing it live in action, the beef, just as we're going through the night, out in Toronto. Funny enough, we did get New Ho King to end the night. So it is crazy how impactful this moment is in real time, right? Hearing it out on the streets and how phony Toronto people are to not even,
Yeah.
stand on business. But it is what it is,
And we could
you know?
kind of touch on that a little bit more when we kind of get into the whole impact.
Hmm.
Yeah. And I
Are you
think,
trying to get to the colonizer component of it?
yeah, here, yeah. So he's like, once
Yeah.
upon a time, all of us was in chains. Homie still
Hmm.
doubled down, calling us some slaves. And I think here it's very clever what he's doing
Yeah.
because
Going back to what you spoke about earlier. Yeah.
he's feeding into that hysteria, right?
Hmm.
And then bear with me for a second. Let me put y'all on game. So I'm like, what's pretty good? He's dropping some knowledge in the middle of a dance diss track, nonetheless. So it
Hmm.
takes a very, certain caliber of artist to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I can't really think of any artist that has done that successfully. Like, I don't think I could be wrong, right? I don't believe this was something Nas was really the greatest at.
Hmm.
So he's kind of in a class on his own to be able to drop this kind of knowledge while doing it on a dance diss track nonetheless, right? But it was kind of clever when he's like, the settlers was using town folk to make them richer. Fast forward 2024, you got the same agenda.
Hmm.
And then here he kind of starts breaking down his friendships with different people from Atlanta, right? You called Future when he didn't see the club. Little baby helped you get your lingo up. 21 gave you false street cred. Thug made you feel like a slime in your head, right? So he kind of he went in on this one. I'm not gonna lie.
Hmm.
Like this one was a good verse to close it out. I think it was
Yeah.
this line here that got me. No, you're not a colleague. You're a fucking colonizer. I'm like,
Yeah. 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 Because again, we always said it, right? Like the thing is, Drake always hopped around the hottest artists, but it wasn't so much where he it was Drake benefiting it from it. It was the artist. Well, it was a bit of both. Drake would benefit from it because he was such a chameleon and he's able to adapt to a sound and a hot sound, and he's able to amplify it just with his presence and the numbers that he does bring and the audience he does bring to an artist. And again, what artists did with it in terms of the trajectory of their life, getting a Drake feature, again, that's on them. But it's it is definitely a narrative that was out there in terms of him being always going around different artists and taking something from it and getting a song from it. But like, who knows? Like, it could be in him trying to amplify young artists, young in, I mean, old enough of age artists. But yeah, it's definitely something that people definitely have called him out for.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up. I want to I'm gonna save my thoughts for when we kind of talk about impact.
Hmm.
I'm closer to like when we kind of like wind things down on this side. But
Yeah,
just to kind of finish up with this track, I thought here when he kind of just closes it out by just having like, oh, he a fan, he a fan, he a fan, freaky ass nigga. Like I
hmm,
thought he just did a good job, and even too with the OV ho.
yeah.
Like this is just really, I think, him,
The artistry.
the
Yeah,
artistry, and also too trying to like get the crowd engagement that when you're in a club and this stuff comes out,
yeah.
people are gonna
They'll be
go
screaming
crazy
it.
to this.
Yeah.
So it's like you took the OVO brand and you kind of turned it into OVO. It kind of reminds me of like what Game did with, G Unit, G U not.
Yeah.
It's like you're kind of flipping it against itself, right? And I think,
Hmm.
you know, especially in a club in Cali, if something like this runs, the crowd will absolutely engage with this. So I thought this was a very well played chess move. If he didn't do Meet the Grams, I'd probably be like, yeah, he took the lead.
Yeah,
But
100%.
I think Meet the Grams for me on my the way I'm scoring it on my score sheet, this is what tied it up for me.
Yeah.
And then so Saturday we have this, and then Sunday, right? Drake puts out that cover. He puts out an Instagram post of Day Free putting a
Yes,
heart
sir.
as
Back
an
he went back
Instagram
to the Boy
comment.
Wonder. Who the Boy Wonder pack?
And then this beat, to be honest with you, and I don't know if he even did it intentional, it could be coincidental, but I
Hmm.
really like the instrumental off rip. It kind of reminded me of, that 2011 Take Care
Hmm.
sound. It reminded me of like that track, Lord Knows.
Mm.
It kind of gave me a little bit of
Cause
that,
that
but it's
soul, that soul,
yeah,
yeah.
but
That
a little
gospelly
bit,
soul.
slower. It
Yeah.
was kind of like this is probably something that could have ended up on House of Balloons or Take Care. Like it really gave
Hmm.
me that energy. So I knew, okay, he's trying to go. This guy took it to a dark place. So I'm gonna try to match that energy, but I'm gonna come with again his version of events. You know what I mean? So this was kind of like meant to be like an exposure song and doubling
Yeah.
down on his claims.
And I like what he did here because he just how Kendrick stomped on his timestamp, he comes back stomping on his Part Six, right?
Mhm.
So now Kendrick can't even put out a Heart Part Six. What do you do? Go to the Heart Part Seven? You have to skip. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? So it was very, very clever from Drake because now he can't. Kendrick can't even do that. The Heart Part Six now he can't. You know what I mean?
yeah.
He has to. He has to do a part seven. You have to skip over the number, and it's ironic. And then again, going back to like the whole like how it's so like chronologically pairing up so well. Like the heart part six. Of course, it's the sixth one from the sixth god. You know what I mean? Like it's almost too like written well, of a story that like that's the going back to the conspiracy is just who knows, I mean? It feels like the WWE. I feel like I'm watching WrestleMania.
I mean, it's very
Who's gonna come out
plausible.
next?
It's very plausible. And I remember when you shared your story with me, no, sorry, not your story, your theory with me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, it seems to me like there's elements of truth to it with, I think, some of the other like cast of characters that were involved. But I
Hmm.
was on the fence about Kendrick. But then I was like, depending on the level of like severity and viciousness that they go back and forth with each other, that'll allow me to check the temperature of whether or not it's staged. I think with these two, I think with these two, it's an organic, genuine dislike and hatred for one another. But I think some of the other guys involved are, except for the weekend, I don't think the weekend needs to resort to clout chasing or anything. So I'm going to exclude him from this conversation. But, Future, Metro, Rick Ross, I do think they have something in it to gain by kind of lumping themselves into this. You know what I mean? Because even too,
Mhm.
like old tweets are surfacing. Metro used to be a fan of Drake,
Yeah,
right?
big
And
fan for
then
sure.
he's the one that proactively went ahead and brought up her loss being nominated for Grammys. Like he took that personally,
Yeah,
right? So I think with him, there's some clout chasing involved in this, but it very well could be. All this could just be one really well written
yeah. I
script,
mean, like, there's definitely some parody in it as well. Like now, Metro comes out with BBL Drizzy. I mean, and he's offering it out to anyone that wants to rap on it. Like a producer is now getting in the beef with a beat, a diss beat, right? Like it's interesting times, man. And like we have like when we get into it later in terms of the impact, like it's just like it's having such a crazy impact. But back to this, the Heart Part Six, like pretty much what he always has almost relied upon is the proof. Prove what you're saying. He will address it, but I need you to prove it. You know what I mean? Like you're just fabricating things because you're not who you really are. So you just need to seek out information and then highlight it. And then he baited you just like that.
yeah,
Like for you to take the baited information, that shows some,
and
some
I think,
fakeness in your algorithm.
and Kendrick, he's known to drop a little bit of history in his diss tracks. I'm gonna drop a little bit of I'm gonna try to drop a little bit of like some bookworm shit into this episode. But in a book, Art of War, I think it's by Sun Tzu. Basically, he kind of talks about, not wanting to be too hasty, especially when it comes to like battle, right? And the way they kind of, where they're saying we plotted for a week and then we fed you the information, a daughter that's 11 years old, I bet he takes it. That to me kind of ties into he was just so desperate to get something on him and he was just so desperate to want to finish this guy that any bit of dirt or tea, whatever you want to call it, that he could get on him, he was going to run with, right? And I think he was too in a rush to just wanting to one up Drake. And it kind of played into Drake's hand in a sense, right? And I thought here he's just sunning the guy. Like, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? You're not concerned with investigation. Like you're in the studio, it's a celebration. You got to learn to fact check things and be less impatient.
Mm.
It's like I'm giving you the game on how you're gonna beat me. So I thought that was really a moment for him to kind of like to sun Kendrick a little bit,
Yeah. And then he talks about Whitney. Why isn't Whitney denying all the allegation? Why is she following Dave Free and not Mr. Morale? And
which is a
then
fair
with it
question.
going back to the cover art, right? And it's just facts, right? And if
And
you can go on IG, my boy said he went and he looked at the comment and it's right there, Dave Free, liked by her, liked by Whitney.
yeah, and bro, like and these guys on the internet, man, they dig up stuff. So one of the pages that I keep sending you when these tracks come out, I don't know if it's that page or if it's another page, but there's a guy who actually literally dug up the court documents that I guess, Kendrick, I guess he sold his Calabasas house or something. And then now he moved to a spot in New York for about a year now. So, I mean, the fact that people are digging up that kind of stuff, and yeah, why isn't she denying these allegations? And why, I mean, Instagram is nothing. So why would she not want to follow Kendrick, right? It's nothing, but it's something at the same time because you can
Hmm.
easily tell, who's cool and who's not, who's together, who's not, based on following follower.
Yep.
right? So, I mean, it's very astute that he picked up on these things. And again, he's presenting it as facts. Like it's more plausible than an 11-year-old daughter.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, I like the fact that there's not so much where Drake made it like a song, but he still did. And he just, with his flow and his cadence and the way he's just talking with so much confidence, like the bars like are very, are like they're sitting in. And then even in this point when he's like, um, he addressed the Epstein thing and then the TikTok videos. And then he goes into his mom coming over and then he's like, mother, I. Oh, wait, 1 second. That's a record where you said you got molested. That's that's crazy.
Yeah. And to be fair, like once a man wishes death on you, that kind of takes the gloves off, right? Like this is a guy
Mm-hmm.
talking about like if I was talking to Sandy, I'd say, "Oh, I hope your son dies or something." Like
Yeah,
that's pretty fucked up, right?
yeah.
So once you open that door, then this is fair game at that point. Like trying to like, saying, this is your past trauma and this is why you keep bringing it up. It's almost like you're projecting your traumas onto me.
Mm-hmm.
It's fair game to me. You know what I mean? And I think it was deep, it was dark, but I think it was a clever move to tap into, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because like
I agree.
why do you keep, leaning into the pedo tropes? Like I'm a pedo, like why do you keep leaning into that?
Yeah. So it's interesting how he spun it around with the molestation. Like, like it was very clever. He's like, oh, Mariah Carey touched my body. You probably start reflecting.
Yeah, and it's like I'd never been with no one underage, but now I understand why. This is the angle that you really want to mess with, right? And just for clarity, I feel disgusted. I'm too respected. If I was fucking younger girls, I promise I'd have been arrested. I'm way
Hmm.
too famous for the shit you just suggested. There's truth to that, bro. Like this guy, every moment of his life, he's being followed, right?
Yeah.
There's literally Twitter pages that track the location of his plane, bro.
Yeah.
So I mean, if he was involved in something, there would have been rumors, whispers, we would have heard it, and things would have gotten out by now, right? And I kind of also another thing that I want to address too, right, is people are like, oh, well, if you didn't really do it, then why even if you're not doing it, then why even address it? But he was put in a tough spot because if he doesn't address it, and let's just say he talks about all this other stuff, then it's like, oh, wait, so you're just not going to say anything about those pedo rumors? You're just going to let them stand? But if he does address it, then it becomes, oh, well, why do you feel the need to address it? If you're not guilty, then don't say nothing. Like
Yep.
it's a lose-lose. And the proof of this is after Kendrick came out with that track about the daughter and the pedo stuff, and then he put a story on his Instagram saying, where's his daughter? I don't have any daughter.
Right away. Right away.
They started roasting him like, oh, Kendrick accused you of all these things, and all you want to
Yeah.
talk about is your daughter. So he was put in a tough spot. Like, it was a lose-lose for him. So you're better off addressing it and taking the approach that he did, which is now turning it onto him. Why do you
Yep.
keep leaning into this, pedo stuff?
That's that's where the resentment's coming in.
Yeah. And then
Right.
he's, like in tennis, he tosses it back to him, saying, like, yo,
Yeah.
you still have some stuff that you need to address. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
is it here? Like, if Dave really fucked your girl and got her pregnant, talk about breeding resentment. Address it. Clear that
Talk
up.
about it.
So I thought this was also a good chess move here. And, like we are saying, like what we're seeing is we're seeing a high level cerebral chess game being played between, two master class artists.
Yeah. And even like the spoken word on the outro, like poetry. Like he's just talking to him.
And yeah, it's true. And, and there's always truth in these things, right? Because he's saying this was some good exercise, to get out, get the pen working.
Yeah.
And this kind of ties into what we were saying earlier, that he's never rapped at this level in his life.
Hmm.
So he's literally like he's rapping for his life.
Yeah,
Like,
he's having like a LeBron moment. You know.
I mean, I'd give him a lot more credit than LeBron, but I would say he's having I would say he's having a Jordan in
Mm.
90,
Yeah,
90.
solidifying the GOAT. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he's having
Setback
like the
against the
98
Jazz.
Jordan.
Yeah.
It's like it's that last title run. They're talking about blowing up the team. The coach might not be back. We might never play together ever again. Do I retire? Do I stay? Right? So this is kind of like his moment to solidify himself. You know what LeBron would have done if he was in Drake's shoes? He would he would have waved the white towel and said, "I'm signing to TDE, bro."
Beautiful to Katie, a cupcake. Cupcake.
I'm joining TDE. So,
Yeah, that's crazy.
but yeah. But yeah, going to this track or any other track, is there anything that you want to revisit or you want to go back to?
No, I think we went through every track. Um, we broke it down, we deep dived into everything, and it's almost like where do we stand now? Where do we have it?
So I would say, if we really break this thing down, because we're talking a lot about impact, right? So if we really break this thing down and look at its impact, I think it's done incredible things
Hmm.
on a multifaceted level. So we kind of touched on it earlier, like with the media, right? This has really solidified and established independent content creators in a multitude of ways. So independent creators, many of them are breaking the new music, right? Many people are looking to them to see what's the reaction, what is their thoughts. They're using those independent creators to get a pulse of the genre itself, right? And a lot of them are forming their opinions based on what creators like us and academics, the bigger names, and the medium-sized creators, what they're saying. And I think it's opened up a whole new door from that perspective, right? And then also too, I think it's just done an incredible thing for hip hop, like musically. Like we got an EP, and I said it like as a joke. I wish Drake would just drop an EP addressing everything. And we literally
You
got that
got
in
that,
one
yeah.
weekend. Like we've never seen this level of output from Kendrick before in his entire career. And we've never seen Drake with this level of consistency rapping at this high level in his entire
Yeah,
career. So it's
yeah,
brought the best out of both of them. It's done great things for hip hop,
yeah. Everything people have asked of Drake, he delivered through
literally.
this whole saga. You know what I mean? Every part of it. So there's no complaints from an overall consumer standpoint, right? You can only work yourself up if you want to choose a side. That's the
Yeah.
only reason you'll get worked up, because then
And
you're battling a number game, right? Of people that will respond and say no, blah 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 blah. There's fans, you know what I mean? So, well, not those type of fans, but fans that are going to ride or die for their guy. So it's it's again from a I'm not saying I'm gonna pick a side in it all, but like I'm still gonna enjoy it because I'm not gonna be like online fending for Drake or online fending for Kendrick. It's just
100%.
gonna be one of those things where it's like I love the moment. It's historical. It's like one of those things where you have to drop everything and just like listen to the song. Like no matter what's going on, there's a game, you're on a date, whatever the case is. Like you need to pull out your phone and just be like, "Yo, let me hear this track. Like I have to hear it right now."
Literally. And I think it's so, I think this makes for such great dialogue too, because I think there's so many angles to it that we could look at it from. Like even two examples that I can think of, right? Is we're seeing a generational shift. So, you have those guys, I would say they're a little like a generation, I would say a little bit older than us, right? Because we're young dudes. But you have a generation of people who like the Kendrick persona, they like the aesthetic, they like the vibe, they like the feel that he gives them, that they remind him of that 80s, 90s hip hop persona and that brand, right? And then Drake, kind of became the de facto for a younger generation, like the millennials, the Gen Z, the ones coming up. He kind of became that musical face. So you're seeing that generational shift where it's like certain factions are going with Kendrick, certain factions are going with Drake. But another thing that we're seeing too, even beyond the whole generational thing, is we're kind of seeing fatigue, right? So Drake has been the face of hip hop for so long. He's been at the top for so long, and we've never really gotten a break from him. So people are just naturally growing tired and resentful of him, right? And then if you look at it, even amongst his peers, now look, he has a lot of enemies that whether he made them or not, that's an entirely different conversation, but they're there, right? So he's kind of just his success partially alienated people from him. And you're kind of seeing that in the resentment that there are people before Kendrick dropped already said Kendrick was going to win. Like their mind was made up. And it wasn't even based on music. It's just based on I'm just tired of Drake. I'm annoyed with Drake.
Hmm.
And I think that's kind of what he's dealing with. And I think that's kind of working against him, so to speak, in terms of the court of public opinion. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, and I agree. I feel like again, it's been a 10-year run. Let's say that within a 10-year run, he spent like 5 years at the top. Within the first three of the five recent 5 years, he's worked with a lot of artists, right? And he's been around a lot of people, and then he's moved on for those people and surpassed them. Artists that they might have thought they were level-headed with Drake, Drake would go work with that artist and then surpass that artist, and the next artist, and the next artist. Like he would always remain at the top. Like as much as he's helped work with different artists, whether they're new artists, a mid-tier artist, or top-tier artist, nothing's ever changed. Like some artists, like Lil Baby, for example, like they would come from Yes Indeed, hottest song in the world, and then Lil Baby goes on his run to now Lil Baby is like down to like a mid-tier artist. Meanwhile, Drake's still at the top, right? So when you look at it like that, like of course that's gonna build up some resentment and cause some envious people, right? And that's what we're just seeing, like that fatigue of Drake being at the top. We heard it with podcasters just going from loving him to hating him to loving him to hating him just because it brought up conversation. And like Drake mentioned in the song, like if Drake didn't get at Kendrick or take on this battle, we're not talking about Kendrick. Kendrick's not dropping at this rate. And what is this year of music? And we're getting some great music, don't get me wrong, but like would it hit the same if we didn't have this Drake Kendrick saga or this Metro Future getting at Drake saga, weekend, well not weekend, but weekend hopping on to get at Drake. Ross just hopping on, switching sides, getting at Drake. Metro just. So like there's one common denominator in all that, and that's Big D. So the big denominator is Drake in this scenario. So it's at the end of the day, the impact is amazing, but like I don't know what will be next coming from this, right? Um, it's gonna end eventually, you know. It got to a dark place with Meet the Grams. Like that's when it felt like it would be eerie to even fly out to LA or go outside, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Rapping OVO, but like Drake dropped the last track. The way he dropped it, part six, it's Kendrick's on the clock, right? And
Yeah,
what's Kendrick gonna do? Is he gonna keep going? He could, but like eventually this is gonna die out, right? Eventually this
eventually.
has to die out. And then from there, like some people have committed so much time and effort to this. Like, how do they go back to like regular conversations, talking about music, talking? It's gonna be mundane. It's gonna be like, I
You
mean, thank
can't,
God we have this Drake and Kendrick
yeah.
moment, or what is um our topic list looking like?
Yeah, this honestly this is a moment in history, like we were talking about earlier. And whatever. whatever side or camp people are on, whether you're Kendrick or Drake, whatever, just don't ignore the fact that we got great music and that we're living in a historical time period, right? And we've said this on previous episodes. Hip hop, whether we want to believe it or not, it's a dying industry, right? And that's just in terms of how watered down it can become. It doesn't have to remain a dying industry. It can always be revitalized, but there has to be a lot that has to change, right?
Hmm.
That's a conversation for another time that we can have.
For sure.
But in the midst of all of that going on, this was a bright spot. And,
Yeah.
people, whatever side you're on, just appreciate the music that you're getting, appreciate what's happening right now, that these guys are performing at a high level, right? And I hope it just stays on wax and that it never comes outside of the music. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I wouldn't want Kendrick to come to Toronto when anything happens to him. I don't want Drake to go to Cali, Oakland, wherever the case may be, and I don't want anything to happen to him, right? Especially like my outlook on life has kind of changed, especially since like Kobe Bryant passed,
Right.
how sudden and unexpected it was and how much it affected people, right?
Hmm.
Like if anything was happening to either of these people, bro, like it's gonna affect a lot of people in many
Yeah.
different ways, right? It's gonna affect many
100%.
people.
Yeah.
So that kind of talk, I don't think we should be using loosely,
Hmm.
right? I don't want that to happen to either of these guys. And I don't like that, the conversation kind of went, the music kind of went there for a little bit. Just keep it on wax. But let's appreciate the moment that's happening right now because we are witnessing history.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. On that note, I think we could end off on our rankings of the tracks so far. Um, I forget the number of tracks that have been put out, but this is what my ranking's going to be.
Okay.
So I have Like That at number one as a
Okay.
track, overall track. I think that's a very good song. Can't lie. And then I'm going to put Family Matters at two.
Okay.
Family Matters at two. And then I'll put Euphoria at three. Push Ups at four. Uh, six. No, no, no. And then I'm gonna put Not Like Us at five. So that's five. And then I'm gonna have 616 as six. It's a lot of sixes. Um, seven, Tailor Made, freestyle, Drake. And then eight, um, did I say, oh, eight, I'm gonna do the Heart Part Six.
Okay.
That's gonna be down there, Heart Part Six. And then I think there's a Kendrick track, right? Meet the Grams is last. So
Yeah.
it's Meet the Grams is 10. And then, or is that it? Am I missing any? I think I have all of them.
I think you got all
Like
of it.
that. Like that, number one. Number two,
I think you're
I
missing
have,
push-ups. I think you didn't say push-ups.
I didn't say push-ups, right? So
Yeah.
like that, one. Family Matters, two. Uh, Euphoria, three. Um, push-ups. Then I'm gonna go with 616. Then no, not 616. It's Not Like Us. Then 616. Then Tailor Made. And then The Heart Part Six. And then Meet the Grams.
Okay. That's a pretty fair list, I would say.
Yeah.
I think you kind of I think that's a pretty good list. You kind of got it's a good balance over there.
Yeah.
It's not a biased list. So
No, it's mixed in. It's mixed
yeah.
in.
So in that spirit, I have all the songs here. So I'm gonna say for me, number one was Family Matters,
Hmm.
right? Just incredible,
Yeah.
incredible track.
Overall, yeah.
And then number two, this is a challenging one. Number two, I'm gonna say Not Like Us,
Mm.
right?
Yeah, it's a banger still.
Yeah, and I think
Yeah.
he took a completely different approach and he played by a different playbook. So that one I'll say is a number two. I think that was another bright spot that came out of all of this for me.
Mm.
number three, I'm gonna say number three, I'm gonna say push-ups, right? Because that was really what the third
That
that was like the third diss track we've ever heard Drake make.
yeah, and it really got this whole party going, to be honest.
It did.
Yeah.
And the thing is, from that moment on, he took on everybody. And I
Hmm.
respected it because I'm like, okay, this guy is holding his own against everybody. So I'll say push-ups is number three. Number four, I'm gonna say Euphoria, right? I thought Euphoria had a lot of had some good moments in there. I thought he had some pretty yeah, he had some beat switches in there too,
Hmm.
right? So I kind of like that too. So different energy, different approach for different beats. So I like that. And then for me, number five, I'm gonna say I like Taylor Made, right?
Hmm.
I thought Taylor Made, he it was clever. Also, too, the way he kind of, started touching on here's the direction he's gonna go and bring up the young girls,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
kind of pulling his card like, yo, you gotta hurry up and respond, right? So after that one, I'm gonna say I thought 616 in LA. I thought that was like a good
yeah.
track to kind of like go
Good
and
approach, good angle for
good
sure.
approach,
Yeah.
good angle. So
Yeah.
that's where I'm gonna go. I'm gonna say like that,
Mm.
right? I like Kendrick's part, but I mean Future was still on it. So
Yeah.
I can't.
Yeah. And yeah, it
So
wasn't really just a Kendrick song, so true.
yeah. But
It was a
Kendrick's
nice
verse,
verse. The verse is high for me. That's
yeah.
why.
The verses will put it over the top, but I can't if we're gonna rate as a song as a whole, I can't ignore that Future is there,
Hmm. Facts.
right? So that's what I'm factoring in. And then yeah, Meet the Grams for me was last. I thought like we explained it, obvious reasons. Yeah, Meet
Yeah.
the Grams for me is last.
Yeah. 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 I'm putting Buried Alive, that little 1 minute like snippet over Meet the Grams for sure.
Okay, that's a good one. So if
Yeah.
we're gonna do that, I want to do an honorary mention. I want to do a first person shooter because I think
Mm.
even before we got to like that, I think that song was kind of like the precursor
Hmm.
of what put the target on Drake's back in the first place with Kendrick.
Yeah. And I'd put First Person Shooter almost in my top five. Like I would put it ahead of 616. So it'd probably be like Not Like Us, and then First Person Shooter into 616 for me, right in the middle.
And if I was using it as an honorable mention, but if I had to include it in the rankings, I'd probably put it up there with push-ups, to be honest.
Right behind push-ups
I'd probably put it
at four.
probably at four.
Yeah.
I would say probably at four. I thought Drake showed better lyrical prowess on push-ups,
Hmm.
but he's still like he was levitating on first person shooter too, so I don't want to take nothing away. But it
Yeah.
was kind of like him and Drake, it was him and J. Cole going back and forth.
Yeah.
Drake by himself was solid on that track.
Yeah. And we're still not talking about Cole though, right? He's still
No,
on
Cole, no,
the.
no, no. Although I will say I do have more of an understanding
Yeah,
of why he
exactly.
bowed out
Cole
because
heard Meet the Grams. That's the first
yeah,
track
because
that that Kendrick showed him on the phone.
he doesn't I don't think he hates Kendrick enough. He doesn't hate Kendrick at all to go at him at this level.
Yeah,
So
yeah, he wouldn't fit in this one, and
no,
it's still not going to look good on his resume for sure.
no, it's
Still, you
not.
look terrible because we see these two artists like, oh, like you're not even like in this conversation. Sorry.
Even now if we do a big three, right? Because you
Yeah,
guys know big three is a Kate Aubrey or me. You solidified yourself as third to these
yeah.
guys.
Drake never said that.
Yeah, you said it. And you are now officially in third. Like you are the bronze of the generation.
Yeah, yeah.
So I mean, just one last quick thing before we can get off. But you know, what are your predictions for it? Or not even necessarily a prediction per se, but do you see it ending? Like, do you see more tracks coming out, or do you see it ending? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, it's Monday today. I don't know what Kendrick does, but like I said previously, I think he keeps going. I think it will end off where Drake Kendrick is gonna end it, in terms of not end in terms of win the battle. The last track will be played by Kendrick or put out by Kendrick. I don't think Drake will put out anything else more because I feel like, come on, like the way he tied in that whole weekend and how it ended on the Sunday. What more? I'm gonna do this for another week with you? Come on. I
Yeah.
baited you. You have no proof. Like now, what's he gonna do? Try to like get proof, or just say that he has proof, or whatever the case may be, or
Mhm.
like have like snippets or whatever, or like voice notes, whatever the case may be. But like I just feel like the way Drake handled himself in this duel over the weekend makes it hard for Kendrick to keep going. But I think he does keep going. But I don't know. Maybe he puts out a project. Like remember, our
Mhm.
first projection was a project with this is on it. Maybe Drake gave him, the platform to like be very at the top right now. So if he drops an album right now, it's gonna put up crazy numbers. So maybe that is the route he takes. But I think Kendrick keeps going. Drake still is trying to go on vacation. So
Yeah. So I agree with what you're saying. I think I think we'll get like one track out of Kendrick. And then I don't think we'll get a response back from Drake. I think he said what he had to say. He put his cards on the table. And then I think from here on out, it just kind of like dissipates. And I think all we're gonna be left with after is like obviously all this content and all these memories, but also too, we're always gonna get like the occasional little subliminal diss, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
and I think that's what it's gonna be moving forward. But I think yeah, we get one more track and then that's it because everything that was said needs to be said. We got a lot of great music out of this,
yeah,
and I think we could just kind of leave it right here, and then
yeah,
we
and just
can.
enjoy the rest of the summer. You know what I
That's
mean?
it, yeah.
You guys prep this up for the summer for sure.
You got some people might scream OV ho, and then some people might be like hands on your knees, shake that ass for Drake, shake that ass for free. So we got a lot of
We got a lot of anthems for the summer, that's for sure.
that definitely, bro. But yeah, Jordan, it's always great, having these conversations with you,
This was a
breaking
good
bread.
one. 2 hours on this one.
This is the longest one we've ever done together, bro.
Yeah, 100%.
But man, this is
For the people.
for the people, bro, 2 hours. I'm very pleased with the content we created today. I think the people like this one, man, for sure.
Yeah, yeah. It's definitely one of those part four, part six
Yeah,
series that's gonna go down in history.
definitely, bro. All right, Jordan, appreciate you as always. Until next time.
Yes, sir. Signing out.